It was just another slow Tuesday afternoon at the grocery store where I worked part-time. My name's Rachel Bennett. I'm 33, recently separated, and rebuilding my life one small step at a time. Working the register wasn't glamorous, but it gave me routine, and right now, routine was a lifeline. It had been nearly 9 months since Daniel, my ex-husband, and I signed the papers. He said he needed space, clarity, something that didn't include me. I had spent years trying to be enough for him, until I realized I shouldn't have to try that hard. I deserved to be loved without earning it every day. The store was quiet for a weekday. I had just finished bagging groceries for Mrs. Hensley, our regular elderly customer who insisted on giving me lemon drops from her purse as tips, when I noticed someone stepping into line behind her. I didn't see his face at first. He was tall, wearing a black hoodie, jeans, and had that confident but quiet presence. He stayed a few feet back, eyes scanning the aisle to the left, then to the drinks cooler near the front. Something about him struck me. There was something oddly familiar in the way he stood, like a scene I had forgotten but now tried to remember. When it was his turn, he stepped forward slowly, pushing a small cart with only 3 items, a can of coffee, some instant noodles, and a single banana. I looked up to greet him the way I did every customer. "Hi there, how's your day going?" I asked, my tone warm but automatic. He didn't answer immediately. That's when he finally lifted his head, and I saw his face. I froze. My heart skipped. It was him, Tyler James. The same Tyler James who sat 2 rows behind me in senior year English. The same Tyler who used to pass me folded paper notes in the hallway, who once walked me home in the rain after my car wouldn't start, who disappeared just weeks before graduation and never said goodbye. "Rachel," he said softly, tilting his head like he wasn't sure it was me. "Tyler." I breathed, blinking in disbelief. "I thought that was you," he said, his voice deeper now, rougher than I remembered. "You haven't changed much." I laughed nervously. That's what people say when they don't know what else to say. He smiled, and it was the same crooked grin from all those years ago. "I mean it," he said, placing the items on the conveyor belt. "Your eyes haven't changed. You still got that little crease right here when you smile." He motioned gently toward his own cheek. I scanned his items, my hands moving on autopilot while my mind flooded with questions. "What are you doing here? I thought you left town for good." "I did," he said, handing me a $10 bill. "I went up to Michigan with my mom after my dad passed. It all happened fast, and I didn't know how to explain it to anyone. So I just left." I handed him his change. "You didn't even tell me." "I know," he said, his voice quiet. "I was 17, scared and stupid. I regretted it more than you'll ever know." For a moment, there was just silence. Other customers started lining up, and I knew I couldn't stay in this moment long. But something in my chest twisted in a way I hadn't felt in years. Like some long-closed door inside me had creaked open. He took the bag and stepped aside. "You working all week?" "Pretty much." "Off Thursday," I replied, without thinking. He nodded. "Would you meet me for coffee?"
Just to talk.
"I owe you that much." I should have said no. I should have protected my heart, reminded myself that people leave, and that old wounds don't need to be touched again. But something about his presence, the gentle guilt in his eyes, made me say, "Okay." "There's a place on 4th called Darla's Diner." "Thursday. 10 o'clock?" he asked. 10 o'clock. And just like that, he walked away, coffee and banana in hand, his steps slow and uncertain. But before he reached the door, he paused, turned back slightly, and gave me a look, a kind of thank you for still seeing him. Thursday morning, I stood outside Darla's Diner, heart thudding in my chest. I had changed outfits 3 times. Settled on jeans and a cream sweater, simple and comfortable. I wasn't trying to impress him, but I didn't want to look like I still hadn't moved on. He was already there, sitting in a booth by the window. When I stepped in, he stood. That gesture alone was enough to make something flicker in me. A man who stood up when a woman entered. How rare was that? We talked for over 2 hours. He told me about the years he spent taking care of his mother, the factory job he held, the accident that left him with a limp for 6 months, the poetry he still scribbled in old notebooks. I told him about my marriage, my art degree I never used, and how I once thought life would be more than receipts and stocking shelves. I always thought you'd be an illustrator, he said. You used to sketch in your notebook during lunch. Trees, faces, buildings. I still do. Just not for anyone else to see, I admitted. That's a shame, he replied. I think the world needs more of your kind of beauty. That compliment lingered with me longer than it should have. It had been a long time since someone saw me past the surface. The weeks after that coffee date, we kept talking. Sometimes it was a text. Sometimes a walk around the lake after my shift. We never labeled it. We just reconnected. It wasn't dramatic or fast. It was soft, gradual, and quiet. But the quiet made it feel safe. One night, after a walk, he stopped beside my car. He looked at me like he wanted to say something, but the words just wouldn't come. I felt it too, that charge in the air, the space between us filling with unspoken thoughts. You okay? I asked. I've wanted to fix that goodbye for years, he murmured. You just did, I whispered. And then he leaned forward, not fast or forceful, just carefully, like he was asking without words. I nodded before his lips met mine. It wasn't fireworks. It wasn't cinematic. But it felt right, like something that had waited long enough. Months passed. We became something without announcing it. He'd bring me coffee at work. I'd cook for him on Sundays. We laughed at old memories, built new ones, and healed slowly. One evening, as we sat on my porch watching the rain, he took my hand. I never thought I'd find my way back here, he said. But you were the piece I didn't know I was missing. I'm not perfect, I replied. I'm not asking you to be, he said. I'm just asking you to keep greeting me, every time I move from behind, every time I show up unsure. I looked at him, realizing that second chances weren't about forgetting the past, but growing into a new one together. So I smiled, squeezed his hand, and said, then keep showing up. And he did. Not all love stories start clean. Some begin in aisles with coffee and bananas, in places where hearts were once broken, but not forgotten. But sometimes, greeting someone again, even after they've moved from behind, can be the bravest thing we do.